Stanley presents, oh, hey, that's me, The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. Excelsior. Welcome.
It's time for The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones.
Sharing your adventures is an interesting experience.
Pack your bag, grab your passport, and prepare to go globetrotting with Dark Horse Comics' classic four-color adventures of Indiana Jones.
Jones?
Dr. Jones, the eminent archaeologist. Hard to believe it.
Now, what shall we talk about?
Welcome, IndyCast listeners and Further fans, to the Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. I'm Joe Stuber. He's Keith Voss. Keith, I didn't think we'd be back until 2015. We got a little surprise we get a surprise for the listeners.
Nice, not just for the listeners, but for us. A very nice surprise.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to be heading to the States at the end of the week, and we thought we would get just one more little surprise show in before the end of the year.
Yeah, another episode of Further Adventures. We got a new intro, so not Marvel Comics Further Adventures, it's Dark Horse. We're still going to keep Further Adventures, and of course, we're keeping Stan the Man Lee. he's a part of Further Adventures, my goodness. He
always will be.
Always will be a part of Further Adventures. So we got the new intro. We wanted to premiere that for everybody. And look, what better way to kick off the Dark Horse years? We've got an interview coming up here,
and a pretty darn good one.
Yeah, it's
pretty darn good one.
Yeah, this guy has done just about everything. Look, for the listeners, we did mention that we were going to be coming up on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. We were going to kick that off, but hey, we've got this classic Comic Book Central IndyCast crossover. I had a chance to interview comic book writer, television writer, producer / just about everything, Mark Evanier. You can check that out over Comic Book Central, episode 53. But one thing I didn't talk to him about on that show was his time in the world of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he spent a little bit of time there. His comic book writing has taken him into the world of Indiana Jones twice.
Yeah, it has.
In 2009. I mean, in my opinion, some pretty cool stories. We got first Indiana Jones in the Temple of Yearning, which was, of course,
that sounds familiar.
Yes, that sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? We also did, of course, the radio drama based on that story.
Yeah,
and
you brought it to life. Brought it to life.
And man, everybody did such a great job on that.
Cool.
Had such a good time with that one. Greatly improved on the format. Yeah, everything turned out great on that one. And then, of course, we have the second of two Dark Horse digests called the Indiana Jones Adventures. And Mark Evanier did Volume 2, The Curse of the Invincible Ruby, also released in 2009.
Yeah, and these are pretty cool books, too. And what you'll realize when you listen to the Comic Book Central interview, and I hope you do, go check it out, comicbookcentral.net. Got to promote the show a little bit. If you check that out, we talk about so many things on there. I mean, we go from Welcome Back Kotter on that show. Believe it or not, he's got to start on Welcome Back Kotter. We go through Superboy, Scooby-Doo, Superman, tons of stuff. But when we talk about that, Mark Evanier really did a lot of work in like sort of Saturday morning kid shows. He Garfield, Plastic Man, one of your favorites, Plastic Man.
Oh, I love Plastic Man. Thundar.
Yeah. Thundar the Barbarian. With Steve Gerber,
Great
Jack King Kirby,
show.
Alex Toth, tons of stuff. There's so much information on that in that interview. Check it out. But he kind of works in this Saturday morning episodic television kind of mode. And when you read these Indiana Jones comic books, they kind of have a feel for that. The anime. Like if we got this is about as close as we're going to get to an animated Indiana Jones.
A Saturday morning Indiana Jones cartoon. That's exactly what these digests feel like when you read them.
Oh, they're awesome. And Ethan Beavers does the pencils on these, and so it's got that animated feel. It's got that animated look. When you read these adventures. So they're not for kids. They're definitely, they're kind of in that middle ground. Well, we're all kids. I mean, we're all kids. So yeah, it's
just
for everybody.
Big kids.
It's for the kid and all of us. Yeah. But these are very cool adventures. So we want to talk, obviously, on the IndyCast. That's what we want to talk about. So I'm going to head into the Raven's Nest. Keith, I know we've been having a problem with the liquor distributor. recently. He's here now.
Yes.
Would you mind going up and taking care of that hot mess?
You got it. And I may just have a drink to take care of my troubles. We've been getting a little too much whiskey. So
Whiskey? Belly
I'll
up
see
to
what
the
I can
bar? Yeah, you do that. I'm going to go talk to Mark Evanier for a little bit, and then you and I will recap when that interview is done.
Looking forward to it.
Well, my guest today has a foot planted firmly in each world, comic book writing and comic book themed television writing. He's put Plastic Man, Thundar, Indiana Jones, and even the Sweat Hogs through their paces. He's currently the writer, producer, and voice director for The Garfield Show. He's Mark Evanier. Mark, welcome to the show.
A pleasure to be here.
I've got to ask you about Indiana Jones Adventures, Volume 2, Curse of the Invisible Ruby. This is the Dark Horse, these little sort of self-contained mini comics. How did you get involved in the world of Indiana Jones?
I was writing stuff for Dark Horse, and the editor just called me up and he said, "Would you like to take a stab at one of these?" And I said, "Sure. I got an hour. I've got a little time here." And I just I went to see the latest Indiana Jones movie, but I went to see that to refresh my memory of what the character was, and I went home and wrote a script. And there were all sorts of little, we don't want this, we do want this, and basically they kind of gave me a list of things that other writers had done lately, so I didn't interfere.
Now, when you say they, is this Dark Horse or Lucasfilm?
The editor, Dark Horse.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't deal with anyone with Lucasfilm on this one.
Oh, John Byrne would have loved that. That was why he left Further Adventures.
No, I just wrote the thing, and they said fine.
Had you been an Indiana Jones fan up to that point, or you just wasn't?
It wasn't something I sought out. I didn't ask for it. They just came to me and said, "Would you like to do this?" And I thought, yeah, because I was writing a lot of Garfield and funny animal comics and things. I wasn't writing human beings very much.
But you had seen all the movies up to that point, though, right?
I think I actually saw. I think how many were there at that point?
Well, that in 2008, that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull would have been the fourth one.
Okay, I saw 1, 3, and 4. I didn't see 2.
Oh, you didn't see Temple of Doom?
No, I didn't see Temple of Doom.
You've seen it?
I haven't seen it.
You still haven't seen it?
I think I still haven't seen it.
Oh my god! Oh my!
Yeah.
I won't tell my Indiana Jones, my IndyCast partner Keith Voss that. That's his favorite Indiana Jones film.
Well, I just, the thing is, I don't go to as many movies as I should because I get so busy, and my thinking is always that movie will always be there. I mean, you can see the movie 5 years from now, and it's exactly the same movie.
Yeah.
So when I have time to go out, I go to plays most.
Well, it's cool because you got all our favorite elements in there. I mean, first of all, it's in 1931, so it's actually set in a time period that we don't typically get to see in Indiana Jones. Kind of like before Raiders of the Lost Ark coming in. You got Marcus Brody in there, and you got Belloc. We don't often see Belloc showing up in these adventures. So going back to Raiders of the Lost Ark for us, and you had monkeys.
I actually had.
You were influenced by Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The CGI jungle monkeys, weren't you?
Yeah, I had a little help there. I had this wonderful friend who's passed away since then, named Earl Kress. He was an animation writer on his own, and he helped me out with Indiana Jones technical stuff. He made some suggestions. We help each other out all the time with things, and I called him up and I said, I got asked to do this Indiana Jones comic, and he said, "Oh, why don't you put that in?" He gave me some ideas.
Okay.
So if something
nice to give him credit
popped in there that I was influenced by, it probably came to me by way of Earl.
Okay, well, the host of the IndyCast, Ed Dullister, loves his CGI monkeys, so they're in there, and Indy's like squaring off against the monkeys, and you even got amorous co-eds in there.
Yeah, well,
he must have been feeding you some good things from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I remembered Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I remembered the third film. One of the fun things about comic books is you write them fast. You write them very fast. I actually write most stuff very fast. And in fact, when a story takes me too long, I become real suspicious about it and figure, gee, maybe I better throw this out and start over again. It isn't writing fast. And that Indiana Jones thing was written quickly. I think they called me up and said, can we have it next week? And I went, sure. And I went to the movies the next night. And,
Oh, wow.
And I think I did the whole thing in about 4 days.
Well, where did you come up with the idea for the Curse of the Invisible Ruby?
Because there was always a curse of something in the story. I mean, it was...
Something has to be cursed.
Well, I mean, they always... It seemed to me... I mean, I would have liked... If I'd done more of them, I would have played with the form more. But if your first time you do a... the first time you do a new character, you got to kind of do a typical episode. Then you can once you've mastered the typical ones, then you can start deviating. And so my goal was not to bring anything new to Indiana Jones. I wanted to do something very typical that would cause the Lucasfilm people to say, "Oh yeah, he knows exactly what we're doing." Then if I had done 3 or 4 episodes or more than that, I would have started playing with it because they would have trusted me that I understood the character. But I was kind of on trial. Your first script, you're always on trial. Can this guy grasp the character? So that's when you aren't adventurous. So
you were just making all that up? I mean, you didn't base that on anything that you had read or had done some historical digging yourself?
No, I just paid it up, yeah.
Oh, it's very cool. You got all the elements in there. Was there anything you couldn't write about? Was there anything they said you specifically cannot go near this?
They gave me a list of a couple things. Well, they gave me a list of things that other people had done recently. They didn't want me duplicating.
Okay.
They gave me a list of things like, "Oh, this guy just did an issue of this, and this is a story of this, so don't do a story that's this." And,
but no characters that you had to stay away from.
No characters. No, I think it was merely a matter of just not duplicating what other people had done.
Stay away from Abner Ravenwood or anything like that.
And they didn't tell me that at all.
Were there any?
Well, I mean, I what it was when they asked me to do it, I sat down and I wrote like a 2-page outline of the story and emailed it into them, and they said fine. So if I had put in some character I couldn't use, they didn't want me to use, they would have told me at that stage.
They would have tipped you off. Had Dark Horse talked to you at all about any other stories or anything beyond that?
Yeah, they wanted me to do a few more of them, and I don't know why. I think I did a short. I did 2 in the end. I did another short someplace.
You did the Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, I think I did one of those.
Yeah, was it the Temple of Yearning? We actually did that on the IndyCast as a radio drama. Actually, they brought that one to life.
I got a call one day, and they said, "Can you write an 8-page story?" In one day, and I said, "Sure." And they caught me on a good day, and I wrote the 8-page story, sent it in, and never thought about it again. I mean, it just I don't know if I even saw it drawn.
I mean, we've brought it to life here on the IndyCast, so you can actually check it out, and we got the voices and everything, and brought your tale to life. So we have you to thank for Temple of Yearning as well.
Yeah, this stuff doesn't stick with me. When I went to see the play, took my girlfriend to see the play Wicked when it was playing in town here last year or so, and we were sitting across the aisle from Harrison Ford, and I nodded to him like I knew who he was, and then as we were walking out, I was talking next to him, and I made this little chatter saying, nice to see you. Hey, you're always a good actor. I always enjoy you. You polite things you say to someone like that. And then I'm driving home, and I think to myself, gee, I could have said to him I forgot I'd done the Indiana Jones comic. I could have said I would have said to him something like, "Hey, you were really lucky. I wrote an Indiana Jones comic book. You're really lucky that they didn't turn that into an episode. You had to do that stuff." Or something like
well,
that.
I'm sure there are some people that argue that that's probably the better of the stories that instead of Crystal Skull, but I'm not one of them. I like them all.
I didn't.
What an icebreaker, though! You could have had that.
I didn't remember it. I literally did not remember it at that moment.
Well,
because it wasn't my character. I didn't do it long enough to feel. I've done Garfield for 21 years or 22 years, and even though it's not my character, I feel like I've put my stamp on a little bit here and there, and I've reconfigured the character. I feel a little more possessive about Garfield than I do about some of the other things I've done, even though it's a good idea never to feel possessive about characters you don't own. That can be an emotional trap and occasionally a career trap. You've got to understand that you're a hired hand for the time being, and you're babysitting. It's not your child, so I don't get that possessive about these things, and and I sometimes don't remember them. And this is the first time I've been interviewed at all about Indiana Jones. Nobody's ever talked to me about it before.
It's what we love, and we have you to thank for Temple of Yearning as well. That free comic book day. It's free. It's Mark Evanier. It's Indiana Jones. What more do you want? Oh, hey, you mentioned Garfield. It's what you're doing now. How can fans find out more about Garfield, and what's your role on the show?
Well, I am the supervising producer, which I guess means I supervise the producer. Basically, I'm the head writer. I write lots of them. I supervise the other people who are writing them and do rewrites when necessary. I cast the show and I direct the voices. And we've done 5 seasons of that. The 5th season is just being finished. The 4th season has never run in the United States. It's run in every other country, but it hasn't run in the U.S. For some reason.
Can we expect to see it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Here's my answer.
You're just the hired hand on it, right?
Here's my answer when people ask me this. The actors are always calling, and fans are saying, "When do we get to see the 4th season?" And I say, "Quote, I'm only the supervising producer. How the hell should I know?" Nobody tells me this, and I suspect I will find. I will find out they're airing because my TiVo will tell me someday. I'm amused by all this stuff. If you read my blog, you'll see that I am amused by how weird things are in show business.
Perfect segue. Look at you as the writer. The perfect segue into the blog.
Yeah, well, the blog. I always have to plug the blog because it's the thing I make no money off.
We're plugging it right now. I mean, look, if people want to find out more about Garfield, I'm sure it's season 4. They're going to find out about on your blog, correct?
Yeah, well, I warn people not to go to the blog unless you got a lot of time because I got 20,000 posts on there.
Yeah, there's some great stories though, and we talked about Cotter. There's some great Welcome Back Cotter stories.
I've had people disappear to my blog and never surface it because they start reading it and they lose their jobs and their marriages and
I started getting sucked in. I'll be honest. Full disclosure, I started getting sucked in.
Yeah, but the bottom line on it is that it's fun to write because nobody rewrites me, and I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for anybody's editorial satisfaction. I'm just doing it to please myself and my friends, and that's the kind of writing that you love. So the fact that there's no money in it is almost a bonus. And I won't take advertising. I won't let anybody else work on the software. I designed the whole blog myself. I said, I'm going to do it all myself. I let Sergio do different drawings for the masthead occasionally.
The great Sergio Aragonis, yeah.
Yes, my best friend in the male division. Yes.
Oh, amazing, too. And it's
my best friend with facial hair.
And if you want great stories of Battle of the Network Stars, they're on there.
Oh, yeah.
Relive the 70s and all its Battle of the Network Stars glory.
Yeah, well, I just done a lot of weird things in my life, and I feel if you do weird things, you ought to share them with the world so that they're recorded somewhere.
It's great stuff.
I post a lot of obituaries on my site of people who would not get an obit anywhere if I didn't.
Well, we talked about Welcome Back Kotter, the late Marcia Strassman. I mean,
yeah.
There's a nice little tribute there, and so many. Give us the website.
Oh, it's www. Surprise. Newsfromme, NEWSFROMme.com. Or if you Google my last name, Evanier, you'll find it. I'm the easiest person to find on the internet.
You are, you're all over, and you're on Facebook.
I'm amazed. I go on blog every so often. I go on a website, and somebody says, "Can anybody tell me how to reach Mark Evanier?" How can you not reach me? If you go to Google and type in Evanier, it shows you 15 places.
It's like, here's my email, here's this, here's my, pay a visit at my house. Come on.
It used to. When I was a kid, I was a little bothered by the fact that I had a weird last name that nobody else had. It's a made up name. It was once a Jewish heritage from Hungary name, and it got changed and mauled into Evanier. And I thought, gee, wouldn't it be nice to have a name like Jones or Johnson that people could actually pronounce? And then when the internet came along, it became a boon. Because I've got friends who, I got a friend named Jim George. He cannot find himself on the internet. If he Googles Jim George, he finds 8,000 other Jim Georges.
Yeah.
But you type in Evanier, and everything's either me or my cousin.
It's And you're the one that talks about Battle of the Network Stars.
I'm the only Mark Evanier on the internet. So if you can learn to spell Evanier, you can find me.
It's newsfromme.com.
Newsfromme.com.
And you're on Facebook, so people can find you on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on,
We'll get those links up.
I'm on Etch-a-Sketches, Mr. Slides. I'm on Kenner Give a Show Projector. I'm everywhere,
Oh, well, it's been fun. Hey, Mark, thank you for all these stories, and I thank you for joining me on the show today.
My pleasure.
All right, Joe, I'm back. Took care of that liquor thing. Got a good deal on it. No problem. We're stocked up for
the next
whiskey. At least few weeks. Yes, got the whiskey.
It's just so much trouble running a bar. I mean, my goodness, how did Marion do it for all those years?
I don't know. And she was just by herself, and it's just the two of us. And man, how does she do it? Anyway,
headaches. Anyway, yeah.
What a way to kick off the Dark Horse years. Chat with one of the writers, the man who put Indy through his paces.
That was fun. I mean, this guy has done just about everything, and it's just like he goes. And the thing is, he said no one's ever asked him about Indiana Jones before, so hey, leave it to the IndyCast, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Gru the Wanderer since I was a kid.
Oh, Sergio Aragones. Yeah, he does a lot. Well, if you look at Mark's blog, and again, Ed will put the links up in the show notes, but go check out his blog as well. He does. Like a lot of the artwork is from Sergio on there. There's a shot of him. Yeah, he did a shot of him with all the characters around it. So it's very cool. So yeah, if you Mad Magazine, those little marginal cartoons, that's Sergio. So if you like those, oh my goodness, go over to Mark Evanier's blog. That was very cool. And Keith, we mentioned the Dark Horse years. We've jumped right into that right now.
Yes, we have.
So a lot more excitement coming up in the year ahead. We're going to tackle those mini-series that we talked about. We kickstarted with that. More creator interviews. That's going to be on the way. More surprises. So much. If you got to stay tuned to the IndyCast.
That's right. I mean, we got the comic book adventures of young Indiana Jones next time on the further adventures of Indiana Jones.